The night sky over Franklin's Hope colony blazed with fire as strange ships broke through the atmosphere. It was supposed to be a normal evening on the farming world. Farmers had just finished their work. Children were getting ready for bed. No one expected the attack. "What are those?" asked Frank Miller, a corn farmer who stood outside his home. He pointed at the odd shapes coming down from the clouds. They looked like giant teardrops, glowing green against the darkening sky. His wife Ellen joined him on their porch. "Should we call the security office?" Before Frank could answer, the first ship landed in the central square just a mile from their farm. The ship's sides split open. What came out made Frank's blood run cold. Hundreds of insect-like creatures poured from the ship. They stood about, 3 feet tall with hard outer shells and too many legs. They moved fast, faster than humans could run, and they moved together like they shared one mind. "Get inside." Frank pushed Ellen toward the door as more ships landed across the colony. He reached for his comm unit. "We need to warn everyone." But the warning came too late. The creatures, later named the Vespira, swarmed through the colony of Franklin's Hope. They attacked anything that moved. Their small size didn't matter when they moved in groups of 50 or 100. They overwhelmed the colony's small security force in minutes. Dr. Alan Frost, the colony's lead scientist, watched the attack from his lab at the edge of town. He recorded everything he saw, hands shaking as he held his camera. "They're not just attacking randomly," he whispered into his recorder. "They're going after our communication center first, then power, then water. They know exactly how to cripple us." As the Vespira reached the research complex, Dr. Frost sent his data to the emergency bunker where Colony Director Patricia Wells was trying to organize some kind of defense. "It's hopeless," she said to her staff as the aliens broke through another door. "We need to send a distress call to Earth now." She pushed past her frightened staff and reached the emergency transmitter. With shaking hands, she recorded what might be humanity's last warning. "Unknown hostiles. Overwhelming numbers. Requesting immediate military support." The message beamed into space just before the Vespira broke into the bunker. Director. Wells faced the swarm, standing tall even as she knew what was coming. 3 days later on Earth, Admiral Gregory Howard sat in his office at North American Defense Force headquarters. He stared at the message playing on his screen for the 5th time. "Play it again," he ordered. Lieutenant Samantha Brooks, his tactical officer, did as ordered. The broken message from Franklin's Hope filled the room once more. "That's the 6th colony hit in 2 weeks," Howard said quietly. "New Montana, Hawking's World, Johnson's Pride, and now Franklin's Hope." Brooks nodded. "The pattern is clear, sir. They're working their way through our outer colonies, moving closer to Earth with each attack." Howard stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see Denver sprawled beneath the mountain headquarters. People were going about their day, unaware that humanity faced its first alien threat. "What do we know about these attackers?" he asked. Brooks pulled up images sent from the colonies before they went dark. "Based on what we've pieced together, they're insect-like, about 3 feet tall. Hard outer shells. They attack in coordinated swarms. They seem to share some kind of hive mind that lets them work together perfectly. And they've never encountered our military forces," Howard said. "Only colony security and civilians. They have no idea what's waiting for them." Brooks nodded. "The 7th Fleet can be ready in 24 hours. Standard response would be to send in the Marines." Howard smiled for the first time in days. "Not the Marines. Not for this. Get me the Titan initiative." The lieutenant's eyes widened. "Sir, the Titans are still classified. Most people don't even know they exist." "They do now," Howard said firmly. "This is exactly why we created them. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Captain Daniel Russell felt his comm unit buzz. The tall, muscular man set down the weights. He'd been lifting, weights that would crush a normal human, and checked the message. "Briefing in 10 minutes, it read. "Full deployment." Russell smiled. At 7 feet 4 inches tall, he towered over the doorway as he stepped into the hall. Other giants like him moved through the base, all with the same alert on their devices. For 30 years, Earth's military had been running the Titan initiative, a top-secret program to create super soldiers for space warfare. These weren't just trained fighters. They were genetically changed to be bigger, stronger, faster, and smarter than normal humans. Giant soldiers designed to fight in the harsh conditions of space and distant worlds. Russell entered the briefing room where his team, Titan Squad Alpha, was already gathering. 12 human giants, each one a perfect weapon. "Looks like we're finally getting out of this mountain," said Sergeant Diane Miller, second in command of Alpha Squad. At 7 feet 2 inches, she was one of the smaller Titans. "About time," agreed Lieutenant Paul Garcia as he checked his combat data on a tablet. "I was starting to think we'd never see action." Captain Russell took his place at the front of the room as Admiral Howard's face appeared on the main screen. "Titans," the Admiral said. "The outer colonies are under attack by an unknown alien species. These creatures have destroyed 6 colonies already. They're small, but they work together in swarms. They've never faced Earth's military forces, and they've certainly never faced anything like you." Images of the Vespera filled the screen. The Titans studied their enemy carefully. "Your mission is simple," Howard continued. "Secure any survivors at Franklin's Hope Colony. Eliminate the alien threat. Show them what happens when they attack Earth." Russell nodded to his team. "Gear up. We deploy in 6 hours." As the Titans prepared their special armor and weapons, Russell thought about what waited for them at Franklin's Hope. The aliens had no idea what was coming for them. They had attacked human colonies and killed innocent people. Now the human giants would strike back. Aboard the massive warship USS Defender, the Titans made final checks on their equipment as the ship prepared to jump to Franklin's Hope. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was humanity's first step into a war that would change history forever. The USS Defender came out of hyperspace with a flash of light. Captain Russell stood on the bridge looking at the main screen. What he saw made his jaw tighten. Franklin's Hope, once a beautiful farming colony, was now burning. The space stations above it were broken into pieces. Smoke clouds covered large parts of the planet. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Brooks. "They destroyed everything." Admiral Howard's face showed no emotion, but his voice was hard. "Find me survivors, Lieutenant." Brooks ran scans of the planet's surface. After a minute, she looked up. "Sir, I'm picking up human life signs in the northern colony complex. About 30 people. But they're surrounded by hundreds of alien signatures." Russell stepped forward. "Sir, request permission to drop in and rescue those survivors." Howard nodded. "Granted. Get your team ready, Captain." In the Defender's deployment bay, the 12 Titans of Alpha Squad prepared for battle. Each giant soldier checked their weapons and armor. The special battle suits they wore made them even stronger and harder to kill. Sergeant Diane Miller adjusted her helmet. At 7 feet 2 inches tall, she was an impressive sight even among the Titans. "First real combat," she said to no one in particular. "After all those years of training." Lieutenant Paul Garcia loaded his heavy pulse gun. "Just remember, these bugs haven't faced anything like us before. They're used to fighting normal-sized humans." Captain Russell gathered his team around him. "Listen up. Our mission is simple. Drop in, rescue the survivors, and show these aliens what happens when they mess with Earth. We're dropping in 5 minutes." The team entered their drop pods, small one-person ships designed to fall through the atmosphere like bullets. As the countdown began, Russell felt surprisingly calm. This was what he was made for. "Titans, deploy," came the order, and the floor opened beneath them. 12 drop pods shot from the Defender, glowing red-hot as they tore through Franklin's Hope's atmosphere. Inside his pod, Russell watched the ground come up fast on his screen. The landing would be hard, but his enhanced body could take it. With a massive crash, the pods hit the ground in a circle around the colony complex. Russell's pod door blew open, and he stepped out into the alien world, rifle ready. The air smelled of smoke and something else, something alien. Dust from the landing still filled the air. Through it, Russell could see shapes moving toward them. "Contact," called Garcia over the radio. "They're coming right at us." The dust cleared enough to reveal the enemy. Hundreds of insect-like creatures. The Vespira were racing toward the Titans from all directions. They moved in perfect waves like they shared one mind. "Hold position," Russell ordered. "Let them come to us." The first wave of Vespira hit Alpha Squad like a storm. But this time, they weren't facing helpless colonists. They were facing humanity's elite warriors. Miller fired her plasma cannon into the swarm, each shot burning through 5 or 6 aliens at once. "They just keep coming," she shouted over the battle noise. Russell activated his power gloves and swung at the nearest group of Vespira. The blow sent 3 aliens flying through the air with crushed bodies. Another jumped on his back, trying to find a weak spot in his armor. He reached back and crushed it with one hand. "They're smart," Garcia called out as he fired into the mass of aliens. "They're targeting joint areas in our armor." Russell noticed the same thing. The Vespira were working together, some distracting the Titans while others attacked weak points. But it wasn't enough. The human giants were too strong, too tough, and too well trained. "Captain," came the voice of Corporal Ryan Jones, the team's tech expert. "I'm picking up a strange signal from that building to the east. Some kind of command center, I think." Russell looked where Jones pointed. A low building with an odd, pulsing light coming from inside. That must be how they coordinate their attacks. "Miller, Garcia, Jones, with me. The rest of you get to the survivors and secure them." The 4 Titans fought their way toward the building, crushing any Vespira that got in their way. With each step, Russell noticed the aliens fought harder to stop them from reaching the building. "We're onto something," he told his team. "They don't want us getting in there." When they reached the building, Garcia blasted the door open with his cannon. Inside was a sight none of them expected. A large, pulsing organ sat in the middle of the room, connected to the walls by hundreds of fleshy tubes. "What is that thing?" Miller asked, her rifle pointed at the strange organ. Jones scanned it with his equipment. "It's giving off the signal. I think it's how they control the swarm." Russell didn't hesitate. "Take it out." Garcia grinned and set his cannon to maximum power. "With pleasure, Captain." He fired, and the organ exploded in a shower of green liquid. The effect was immediate. Outside, the organized attack of the Vespira fell apart. The aliens began running in all directions, bumping into each other, no longer working together. "It worked," Miller shouted. "They're lost without that control organ." Russell didn't waste time celebrating. "Let's get to the survivors." They found the rest of their team guarding a group of dirty, terrified colonists in a reinforced bunker. The people looked at the giants with wide eyes and open mouths. "You're safe now," Russell told them. "We're taking you home." A thin man with glasses pushed forward. "I'm Dr. Alan Frost. You must be the Titans. I've heard rumors, but—" He stared up at Russell. "I never thought you'd be so big." Russell removed his helmet. Dr. Frost gasped when he saw Russell's face, slightly larger than normal, with a strong jaw and bright blue eyes that seemed to glow. "Doctor, we need to know everything you learned about these creatures," Russell said. "This was just a small force. There will be more." Frost nodded. "I saved all my research. But how do you know there are more coming?" Russell looked up at the sky. "These were scout ships testing our defenses. The main hive fleet is still out there, and now they know we can fight back." As the Titans gathered the survivors for evacuation, Russell knew this was just the beginning. The real war was about to start, but for the first time since the attacks began, humanity had hope. The human giants had struck their first blow, and it was just the beginning. Admiral Howard stood in front of the large screen in the Earth Defense Council chamber. The room was filled with the most powerful people on Earth: military leaders, politicians, and scientists. Everyone was quiet as Howard showed them pictures of destroyed colonies. "In the last month, the Vespira have attacked 3 more of our outer colonies," Howard said. "Each time they run away when our ships arrive, but they're learning how we fight. They're getting smarter." Counselor Susan Harris, leader of the North American region, leaned forward. "What do these bugs want? Why are they attacking us?" Howard looked at Dr. Frost, who had been rescued from Franklin's Hope. The thin scientist stood up. "They're not just attacking," Frost explained. "They're taking over. They turn everything organic, including human bodies, into food for their young. They're making nests on our worlds. The room went silent as people understood what this meant. Howard spoke, again. The Titan program has worked better than we hoped. Our giant soldiers are effective against the Vespera. But we need more. I want to double the size of the program and send Titan squads to all our major colonies. Approved, said Harris without hesitation. Whatever you need, Admiral. This is about the survival of our species. Over the next few weeks, Earth's factories worked day and night. New warships were built in the orbital shipyards. Weapons designed specifically to fight the Vespera rolled off assembly lines. The military shifted to full war production for the first time in 100 years. In the Rocky Mountains at the main Titan training base, Captain Russell watched the new recruits train. Hundreds of volunteers had signed up after hearing about the alien threat. The best of them were now going through the genetic enhancement process that would turn them into giants like Russell. Karen West, a former police officer, was having trouble with her new size. At 7 feet 3 inches, she kept bumping her head on doorways and breaking things with her new strength. "Will I ever get used to this?" she asked Russell during target practice. Her shots hit the center of the target every time, her enhanced eyes giving her perfect aim. "Your brain remembers being normal-sized," Russell told her. "But soon your new body will feel right. The strength, the speed, the better senses, they'll become normal to you." West nodded and fired again. "I joined to protect my family. The news said the bugs are getting closer to inner colonies. My parents live on New Texas. That's why we're training so hard," Russell said. "The Vespera are evolving new tactics. We need to be ready." He wasn't wrong. Across space, the war was getting worse. The Vespera, learning how dangerous the Titans were, started focusing their attacks on military ships and training bases. Their shared mind was creating new ways to fight the human giants. On the mining colony of New Arizona, Lieutenant Garcia's squad was in trouble. The Vespera had used a new weapon, a chemical spray that attacked the genetic changes that made the Titans special. "They're adapting to us," Garcia reported over the emergency comlink. He and his team were trapped in a mining building surrounded by thousands of Vespera. "The spray doesn't last long, but it weakens us for a few minutes. Long enough for them to cause damage." Back on the USS Defender, Admiral Howard received Garcia's report while meeting with Dr. Frost. "They're evolving faster than we expected," Frost said, looking worried. "The hive mind must be incredibly advanced to create countermeasures so quickly." Howard's face was grim. "Then we need to find the center of the hive mind, cut off the head, and the body dies." Using data from fights all over human space, Earth scientists started mapping Vespera movements. They traced the aliens back to a part of space humans had never explored. Small robot ships sent into the area sent back pictures of massive living ships, huge organic vessels bigger than Earth's largest battleships, before being destroyed. In the war room on the USS Defender, now the main ship in humanity's fight against the aliens, Howard gathered all the Titan squad leaders. He showed them a 3D map of the newly discovered Vespera home system. "We think this is where they come from," Howard said, pointing to a large planet covered in what looked like hives. "The main brain controlling all Vespera seems to be here." Russell looked at the map, seeing the thousands of Vespera ships protecting their home. "That would be a suicide mission, sir. Not with our new weapon," Howard replied. The new weapon was a virus created by Dr. Frost and his team. It would disrupt the connection between Vespera, basically making their shared mind stop working. The problem was someone needed to take it directly to the main brain. "We need volunteers," Howard said, looking around at the giant soldiers. "A small team to sneak into the main hive while our fleet attacks their ships." Russell stepped forward without hesitation. "Alpha Squad volunteers, sir." Howard nodded. "I hoped you would say that. This mission could end the war." That night, Russell couldn't sleep. He sat in the observation room of the Defender looking out at the stars. So much had changed in such a short time. 6 months ago, humanity didn't know aliens existed. Now they were in a fight for survival. Sergeant Miller found him there. "Can't sleep?" she asked, sitting next to him. Even seated, they towered over normal-sized chairs. Thinking about the mission, Russell admitted, "If we fail, the Vespira will keep coming. They'll reach Earth eventually." Miller nodded. "That's why we won't fail. We're made for this, Daniel. Literally made for this." Russell smiled at his friend. "I know. It's just, sometimes I wonder, what happens after? If we win, what place is there for soldiers like us? We're too big for normal life. We'll always be different." "We'll figure it out," Miller said firmly. "But first, we have to make sure there is an after." The next day, final preparations for Operation Hive Strike began. Earth's fleet, nearly 100 warships, would attack the Vespira home system. While the aliens were busy fighting the fleet, Alpha Squad would sneak into the main hive on a stealth ship. Their mission: deliver the virus directly to the central brain. As Russell briefed his team one last time, he felt a strange sense of calm. This was what they were created for, the ultimate test of the Titan program. "We all know what's at stake," he told his squad. "The survival of our species. No pressure." They laughed, breaking the tension. The Vespira made one big mistake. Russell continued. "They attacked human colonies. They killed our people. They thought we would be easy to conquer." He looked at each of his giant soldiers, the best humanity had to offer. It's time to show them just how wrong they were. The space around the Vespira homeworld exploded with light and fire. Earth's fleet, nearly 100 warships, had arrived to attack. It was the biggest battle humans had ever fought. Lasers and missiles flew in all directions. Ships exploded, like small suns. Inside the small stealth ship hiding in the shadow of a moon, Captain Russell watched the battle on the main screen. His team of Titans waited in full battle gear. "The distraction is working," said Lieutenant Garcia, checking the sensors. "All Vespira ships are moving to fight our fleet." Russell nodded. "Then it's time. Alpha Squad, final check." The 12 giant soldiers checked their weapons and armor one last time. Each carried a special injector filled with Dr. Frost's virus. If even one of them could reach the Hive Queen and inject the virus, the war could end today. "Remember," Russell told his team, "we only need one of us to make it to the Queen. If you get a clear shot, take it. The mission is all that matters." Sergeant Miller stood beside him. "We'll make it. All of us." Russell smiled at her confidence. "Launch in 30 seconds. Their small ship broke away from the moon's shadow and raced toward the planet. The massive Vespira hive ships were too busy fighting Earth's fleet to notice one tiny ship slipping past. As they entered the atmosphere, the ship shook violently. Through the window, Russell could see the surface of the alien world. It looked like one giant nest, huge towers and structures made of the same material as Vespira ships. "There," said Corporal Jones, pointing to a massive structure in the center of a vast hive city. "That's our target. The signal matches what we saw in the colony command nodes, but 1,000 times stronger." Russell took a deep breath. "Take us in." Their ship landed on a flat area near the central structure. As soon as the doors opened, the Titans moved out in formation, weapons ready. The air smelled strange, like rotting meat and chemicals. "Stay alert," Russell warned. "They know. We're here." They hadn't gone 100 yards when the first attack came. Hundreds of Vespira warriors poured out of openings in the ground and buildings. These weren't like the ones they had fought before. These were bigger, with natural weapons growing from their bodies. "Elite guards," Jones called out as he fired his heavy cannon. "They're protecting the Queen." The battle was fierce. Even with their enhanced strength and special armor, the Titans were outnumbered. For every alien they killed, 10 more appeared. Miller took position on a raised platform, her rifle picking off aliens that tried to surround the team. "There are too many," she shouted. "We need to move faster." Russell smashed 3 aliens with one swing of his power fist. "Jones, Garcia, Miller, with me. The rest of you hold them here and keep our exit clear." The 4 Titans fought their way toward the central structure, a massive tower that pulsed with an eerie green light. With each step, the resistance grew stronger. The Vespira seemed willing to die by the hundreds to stop them. "They're terrified of us reaching the Queen," Garcia said as he blasted a hole through a wall of aliens. We must be close. When they finally reached the tower, they found the entrance blocked by the largest Vespira they had ever seen, nearly as tall as the Titans themselves. Special guards, Jones said, scanning them. Their shells are 3 times stronger than normal. Russell didn't hesitate. Hit them with everything. The battle at the entrance was brutal. Garcia took a serious wound when one of the guards' claws pierced his armor. Jones was knocked down, his helmet cracked. Miller fired her last grenade, blowing a hole in the line of guards. Now! She shouted. Russell charged through the opening, smashing aside the wounded guards. Inside the tower was a vast chamber, rising hundreds of feet above them. And hanging in the center, connected to the walls by thousands of fleshy tubes, was a massive brain-like structure. The Hive Queen, Russell whispered. Before he could move toward it, the chamber filled with a high-pitched sound that made the Titans' heads hurt. Russell felt something pushing against his mind. The Queen was attacking them mentally. She's trying to control us, Miller gasped, dropping to one knee. Like she controls the Vespira. Russell fought against the pressure in his head. The genetic enhancements that made him a Titan also helped him resist the mental attack. But it was getting harder to move. Keep going, he ordered through clenched teeth. We have to reach the Queen. Step by painful step, the Titans pushed forward. All around them, more elite guards poured into the chamber. But they moved slowly, as if the Queen was focusing most of her power on controlling the Titans. Jones fell first, his mind overwhelmed. Garcia managed to get halfway to the Queen before he collapsed. Only Russell and Miller remained, fighting both the mental attack and the physical guards. They were just 20 feet from the Queen when Miller was pulled down by 3 guards. Go, she shouted to Russell. Finish it. With a final surge of will, Russell broke through the last line of defense. The mental pressure was so strong now that blood ran from his nose and ears. But he had one goal. With shaking hands, he pulled out the virus injector. The Queen's attacks intensified, making him feel like his head would explode. But Russell was a Titan, created to be humanity's ultimate warrior. This is for Earth, he growled, and plunged the injector into the pulsing mass of the Queen. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Queen convulsed, its mental attack stopping instantly. Throughout the chamber, the Vespira guards froze, then began to attack each other in confusion. Russell fell to his knees exhausted. He activated his emergency beacon. Mission accomplished. The virus is delivered. We need extraction. In space, Admiral Howard watched in amazement as the Vespira ships suddenly stopped fighting in organized patterns. Some crashed into each other. Others simply drifted. They did it, he whispered. Then louder, all ships press the attack. The hive mind is down. Without their shared mind, the Vespira were just insects, unable to operate their complex ships or coordinate their attacks. Earth's fleet tore through them easily. On the planet, Russell helped Miller to her feet. Jones and Garcia were waking up, the mental attack gone. We need to get Jones and Garcia back to the ship, Miller said, looking at their injured teammates. Russell nodded. The rest of the squad is holding our exit. Let's move. As they fought their way back to their ship carrying their wounded, Russell saw the Vespira in complete chaos. Without the Queen's control, they were attacking each other or running in random directions. 3 days later, aboard the USS Defender on its way back to Earth, Admiral Howard visited the medical bay where Alpha Squad was recovering. The War Council is calling it the greatest victory in human history, Howard told them. The Vespira fleet is scattered. Without the Queen, they're just animals. We're already taking back our colonies. Russell, his enhanced body already healing, from wounds that would have killed a normal human, had a question. What about us, sir? The Titans. Now that the war is ending, what happens to soldiers made for battle? Howard smiled. That's up to you, Captain. You can stay in the military, if you want. Or you could help build new, safer colonies. Dr. Frost thinks your enhanced bodies would be perfect for deep space exploration. You have choices. Miller looked surprised. We can choose our own path? That's what you were fighting for, Howard said. The right for all humans, no matter their size or genes, to choose their own future. As the Defender approached Earth, news of the victory spread throughout human space. Pictures of the Titans, the human giants who had fought back against the alien threat, were everywhere. Standing at a window, Russell watched Earth grow larger. The blue planet seemed smaller than he remembered, but no less worth protecting. Vespera had attacked Earth's colonies thinking humans would be easy to defeat. They had been very wrong. They had never faced anything like the Titans before, human giants created to protect their world. They attacked Earth colonies, Russell said quietly, and human giants struck back. End of story.